Hi, everybody. This is Adrian. Um, we're just going to wait a few minutes, firstly for my electricity to come back on, and then to wait to make sure that other people will be here. Thanks. Just give it another minute, and then we'll do that. In the meantime, if you're here, introduce yourself. If you're watching the replay, please just do a hashtag replay so that I know where you were, when you joined. And also let me see if you can, let me know if you can see the slide. That would be very much appreciated. Hopefully this is going to record for us. Uh, if not, I will just re-record it as a video. There we go, that's a little bit better. Hopefully you guys will be able to see the screen. No, okay, let's just see what's going on. Dog. Okay, we're going to start even though there's no one here. Hopefully those joining on YouTube will be able to see us as well. So welcome everybody. Let me know where you're watching from, and if you've got any questions, you can just type in the comments. Just remember to type your name, as I won't be able to see it on my watch. So the question that I get asked the most often is, how much should you spend on groceries? I'm Adrian Bugatti, and for the last, since 2018, that is what I've been doing. I've been learning how much I should be spending on groceries and how to help other people know what they should be spending on groceries. Um, and that's an important thing because for everybody, it's slightly different. As petrol goes up or down and moves around, we're in the middle of a heat wave, there's a drought, there's a war, there's a lot going on. There's two wars actually. We still need to keep our families fed and healthy and, give them nutritious meals, no matter how tight the budget is. Sometimes that's a little easier to do than other times. And one of the most common questions, obviously, is, as I said before, how much should we be spending on groceries each month? Well, here's the truth. I have no idea. And the reason I say I have no idea is because your budget is different to my budget. Budgets are based on basically how much you're earning. Let's see if I can get a lantern going, if that'll make a difference. Not really. Okay. It depends on what you're earning every month. It depends on how many people in your family. Are you 4 people? Are you 6 people? How many people are you? Where do you like to shop? How often do you go shopping? What is your lifestyle like? Are you sports people? Do you go to the gym regularly? Have you got health issues? What age are your children even? Are they adults? Are they teenage boys? Are they infants? That's going to seriously affect how much you're spending every month. Are you feeding your domestic help? So, oh, I don't know why this is playing now in the background. Okay, that shouldn't have happened. Let's just get rid of that and see what we can do there. Interesting. It's not supposed to do that. I'm live. Okay, I am live. Okay, so it's not a problem. And then, do you have any dietary requirements? That's a huge thing. Are you diabetic? Are you on blood pressure medication? Do you have ulcerative colitis? Are you gluten intolerant? All those things are going to affect your budget quite severely, as you know, the gluten-free products are more expensive, obviously. If you are lactose intolerant, the lactose-free milk is more expensive, so is the cream cheese. So all those things are going to make a difference to your budget. Now, the experts say that the average household food basket is 5,223 Rand and 95 cents. This, by the way, was in April this year. So that was something that everybody needs to know. It was quite a long time ago. Month on month, most homes of 4 people, the food budget increased from 4,966 Rand a month to 5,023 Rand a month. Now, it's a lot to go up. 57 Rand, when you hear it like that, doesn't seem like a much. But I don't know if you're one of those people who likes to round up, which is what I do when I'm shopping. I always round up. 60 Rand is a little bit more. And 60 Rand over 12 months is going to add up to a lot. And here's one of the scary facts, that our national minimum wage is 25 Rand and 42 cents per hour. Or if you're paying by the day, like for an 8-hour day, it's 203 Rand and 36 cents. Think about it when you go out. Do you get away with less than 200 Rand, even if it's just 2 people out for dinner? Now, in April 2023, there were only 17 working days in a month. Those people earned just under 3,500 Rand. The average cost to feed a child a nutritious diet was just under 900 Rand. This means that an average domestic worker spends a quarter of her salary just feeding one child. The Mail and Guardian said that between April and September this year, our food went up in Johannesburg by 327 Rand and 28 cents. That is a big jump, but salaries did not. So it doesn't matter what you were earning, your salary is not keeping up with inflation. They asked, what is a basic food basket? They asked, you know, a whole lot of women. Obviously, on average, these women are from South Africa, because that's where we are. Probably the majority are domestic workers, because that's what I can see here. So what is in a basic food basket? Women identified 17 staple foods in their monthly food basket. Mielie meal, rice, flour, sugar, beans, sump, oil, salt, potatoes, onion, frozen chicken, curry powder, stock cubes, soup, tea, and bread. And my electricity is back. Yay. Okay. It doesn't matter whether you're shopping for ordinary shopping or whether you're shopping kosher. Those items that they listed, those 17 basket items, came to 2,826 Rand and 37 cents. That doesn't include our eggs, which have gone up ridiculously. It doesn't include meat. It doesn't include fish, which actually costs more than meat. And it doesn't include fresh vegetables. But they are now still expected to feed a family. If you are working a basic wage job, whether it's a entry level cleaner who's earning, I think they earn about 10,000 Rand a month. That's still a lot of money to go towards your groceries. So it is important for us to pay attention to what that is. Right. So how are you going to work out what your budget is? It should be based on your income. Now, the income I'm talking about is not what you actually earn as a salary. It's what you get after taxes have been paid and UIF and all the other deductions that the salary takes off. Your rule of thumb is that you should not be spending more than 25% of your take-home salary every month. So a person, like I said, a cleaner who's earning 10,000 Rand a month, cannot spend more than 2,500 Rand for groceries. That is assuming they have no debt and very little expenses, because after you've taken off the 2,500 Rand, you're only left with 7.5. And that's not enough to pay rent, transport, school fees, and medical aid. So think about, we're all in the same boat. I'm not sure why the slides are doing this, unfortunately. So I'm just going to have a look at my slides slightly separately, and then I can go from there and tell you what's happening. For some reason, this presentation is not agreeing with our technical side. Let me just see if I go to full screen so you won't see me. No, it actually makes no difference how I do it. Okay, so an important thing for you to understand is that it's your take-home salary, not just your salary that you earn. So you can be earning 10,000 Rand a month, then you get deductions. UIF is about 100 Rand. I don't know what else. It depends on what else they pay. So you can land up taking home only 8,000 Rand. In that case, your food budget at 25% is even less than 2,500 Rand. Now, when you want to work out your food budget, you start off with 10% of your income. That's what you're going to start with. That is the lowest. That is your minimum. You cannot get away with less than that. And then you work out what your 25% is, spend together. Now, South Africans, here we go. Okay, South Africans spend on average 1,400 Rand per month on grocery. That is one South African, one person. In Uganda, and I've got all the ones from the different countries, so it works out to $77 US. Uganda spends $24 per month, Ethiopia 20 per month, Tanzania 15 per month. In the US, it is much higher, much higher. It is, I think they said $30 per person per month. And in Australia, a family of 4 is $693. And in the UK, a family of 4 is £725, which works out to $920. That is a lot of money to spend on your groceries. So you need to think about where we're living. Turns out we're not the most expensive, but we're not doing the best either. So that's a problem. I do apologize for the screen that you are watching. I'm not quite sure how to fix that. Okay. So, right. How do you know what your budget should be? How do you know? How do you even get there? I want to know how often you guys, please post in the comments, how often do you guys get takeout or actually go eat out? Eat out is even more important than takeout. So work it out, work out what it costs you every month. Now, there are two options. We get takeout. We hardly ever eat out, usually because I have a family of minimum of 6 people, and if partners are with, we can go up to 10 people. So that can work out to a little bit more than my grocery bill. So if we're going to get takeaways, we get them in. I buy a 2-liter cold drink just to make something special, and that's how we eat. We started doing that not for budgeting, was because I had two very, very hyperactive children who couldn't sit in a restaurant, and people used to get irritated, especially with the one. So it was just easier for us to all be at home, and she could run around and go mad and climb the jungle gym in between everything without disturbing people. And that's how we started. But it does work out to be cheaper. And we know that takeouts are much cheaper than dining out. If you're not kosher. So I'm kosher, so I've got a very limited platform of where I can eat. But if you're not kosher, it's still not cheaper to go out than to eat home. And I know a lot of people come by this thing, oh no, eating healthy is so expensive, and the fruit and the veg, it's just too expensive, but it's actually not as expensive as eating out or eating takeaways for two reasons. One, you're not buying, when you go out, I know we go out, there's one family member who will eat a starter and then have at least two drinks and then have the main course, and that adds up. Whereas at home, I'm making a main course and you're drinking water and we're done. So that does help a lot. But it is also healthier because fast food and takeout food is definitely higher in fats and salts, a lot higher. Now, I had a look at the restaurants where I would normally eat versus cooking at home. So step 2 is always cooking from scratch at home. That is an important aspect of, our eating out and to eat healthy. And here are what the prices were. So I had a look. Burger King with chips. So burger and chips is 64 and 90. The kosher equivalent was 115 Rand. And then I found Rockamama's, which is one of the most popular ones, I believe. That was nearly 120 Rand. And all of those are a burger and chips. That's all it is. Okay. A homemade burger is between 20 and 40 Rand. Now, the picture with the black background is a restaurant burger. And the picture on the white with the burger with chips and the salad in the background is a burger I made at home. They look just as appetizing. They're just as filling. It's got all the things. It's got lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle, relish. It's got the chips and it has a salad. So much healthier, much better to eat. Step number 3. Use up leftovers to avoid waste. So you can see the picture of the grilled chicken. Any parts that are left over, turn into a chicken pie. And the picture of the chicken pie there is one of the easiest chicken pies to make. It's a deep dish. You cut up your chicken that's left over. You mix in some flour and some water to make a thicker sauce. You take some frozen vegetables. You put that in. You season it properly. Although the chicken that you're using has already been roasted, so it should have some of its flavor. You buy your pastry. You put the pastry over the top, seal it, put it in the oven and bake it. And it is a beautiful pie. And there's no food waste. Another thing to avoid is overpacking your fridge. We all have a habit. We go shopping and we buy all these things, especially at the beginning of the month, and it's packed into the fridge. My fridge currently looks like that because I just shoved everything in because of the heat wave. I was just too hot to bother packing properly. And what happens with that is the food gets wilted. It sits in the back. You forget about it. It expires. All those kind of things happen to you. So you're not sure. One of the biggest things of advice that I give to people is always shop at home. And by this, I mean, make sure to check what's in your fridge, what's in your freezer, and what's in your pantry cupboard or your food store cupboard before you go shopping, so that you can use up the ingredients that are going to go old and are going to get wilted or moldy or expire. And recipes can easily be adjusted, and certain foods like wilting vegetables are perfect for stews and soups. So your slightly limped carrots, your slightly limped celery, the tomatoes that just aren't right for a salad anymore can all go into a stew or a soup. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not salad worthy. So that's something important to think about when you are using food. And one of the other steps that I use is I try and use ingredients over multiple recipes in a week, but that uses meal planning, which I'll talk about just now. Step number 4, if you can, cook more than you need and freeze in portions. Now, for me, that doesn't always work unless I'm quick enough to portion it out and freeze it before anyone else sees it, and then only serve what I want to serve. Because I've learned in my house that, especially with mince and pasta, that if whatever there is going to get eaten. I made a cottage pie the other night. It was a very small one, but there were only 3 of us at supper. So I thought, oh, great, there's going to be plenty. Ha, big joke. There's nothing left. I thought, oh, well, my husband will take some to work the next day. It didn't work. Now, freezer foods are also a good thing because you're not always going to feel like cooking. Sometimes you're sick, and also sometimes you want to take a meal to somebody. So what I do is I'll often make stews or curries or bolognese and freeze those in Ziploc bags. They freeze really, really well. Even soups freeze beautifully. And I freeze them in Ziploc bags because you can stack the Ziploc bags. When you fill the Ziploc bag, you sort of lay it down on the table so you can get all the air out, seal it, and it makes a nice flat piece, and you can just stack them beautifully, especially in a small freezer. Bananas that are going overripe, cut them, obviously peel, cut them, put them in the Ziploc bag, and add them to your smoothie. I make a banana sorbet from mine. So there's lots that you can do as long as they're not brown. Then there's lots. If they've gone brown, that's what banana muffins and banana bread are for. Herbs. You know how we've got to you sometimes buy a fresh herb like basil or coriander or something like that, and you only need a little bit, but you've got all this left over. Good idea. Take an ice tray, chop up your herbs as you want them, put them each into little individual ice trays, pour over water, stick it in the freezer, and you've got what they call flavor bombs for later. You just take out that ice cube and pop it into whatever you needed that herb for. So a nice quick tip. Next one is take lunch to work. This means take your leftovers to work. It means pack lunches when you're packing for the children, pack for yourself, pack for your partner, however you're going to do it. Don't be tempted to grab a quick meal over lunchtime or even skip the meal entirely. If there's like a fridge or something at work that you can use, get some yogurt, stick it in the fridge, label it so that everybody knows it's yours, so that if you do forget your lunch, you at least have something slightly nutritious to eat at lunchtime. Salads and sandwiches are really big things to take to work because they're easy to eat there. And my suggestion is that when you do eat your lunch, please don't eat it at your desk. Even if you're only going to take 10 minutes, go somewhere. It doesn't matter where. If the smoking doesn't bother you, go to where the smoking area is. Eat your lunch away from your desk, please. It is a much healthier option. And then the third thing on this point is sodas or cold drinks, we call them juice. Don't buy those. Rather drink water. Now, there's 2 things. Flavored water, by the way, contains calories. So if you're trying to get healthy and sort of pay attention to your weight, depending on how much of that flavored water you're drinking, it's not a healthy option. However, if you are drinking just plain sparkling water that has no calories in, go for it. I drink the sparkling water because I do not like the taste of plain water unless it is absolutely ice cold. And so the sparkling water seems to give it a bit of a flavor, and I'm much happier then. And I stay healthy and I eat, I feel better for myself. I know it's tricking myself, but it still makes me feel better. Next one is Shop Smart. Now, for anybody who's followed me for a while, please excuse me, you will know that I meal plan. That's the first thing. So what does Shop Smart mean? It means a couple of things. It means meal planning first and foremost, and shopping at home before you step out and go shopping. Those are your first two things. It means knowing where you're going, planning accordingly, and plan according to your daily life. So if you've got like I said, if you've got the extramurals, if you are going to the gym, if you've got a meeting, if you're going out for dinner one night that week for some occasion, plan your shopping accordingly. We used to do it that if we knew we were going out, but the kids were having to stay home, I would buy food that I knew the children would eat that I didn't like. Got away with it regularly. So it makes a big difference when you are shopping that you plan. To me, meal planning, and it's not something we as South Africans do a lot. It's a terrible thing that we don't do it more. Meal planning is absolutely one of your biggest and first steps to cutting down your food budget. Next step, step number 7, is veggies in season. Fruit and vegetables in season. We're going spring to summer now here. The most amazing fruit is coming available. Watermelons and oranges and naartjies and nectarines, just beautiful fresh fruit. Use them, buy in season. It's going to save you money. And fruits and vegetables in season are definitely much fresher and have more flavor and are budget friendly. Vegetables and fruit like carrots, tomatoes, butternut, celery, you can buy those in bulk and you can freeze them. Even onions can be frozen. I've always said that if you can find it in the freezer aisle at the grocery store, you can freeze it at home. Obviously, there are some things that are going to need a little preparation before you put them in the freezer. So something like a butternut, you would need to parboil those a little bit so that when you take them out the freezer, they're 3/4 cooked. The whole point of the freezer meals and freezer vegetables is the convenience and the quickness. I've seen diced onions in the freezer and sliced onions. I've seen all sorts of things in the freezer that you can make. Another big one is if you're buying those big pockets of potatoes, you're not going to eat all of them very quickly, especially if you're a family of 4. It's a small family, or you're trying to be more healthy, so you don't want too many potatoes. But parboiling them and cut them first, parboil them, and turn them into fries. Beautiful idea. You can freeze those. You take them out when you want them. You don't even have to turn them into fries. You can turn them into wedges. That's all up to you. And I must admit, before I freeze mine, I do put some seasoning on them and a little bit of oil and then put them in the freezer. And I make sure that they are dry before I freeze them. Just otherwise they get a bit of that freezer burn. Number 8, meat-free. Now, this is controversy for South Africa. We are meat lovers inherently. My family, myself, I love meat. So I'm not going to go vegetarian all of a sudden. I do know that vegetarian meals are often cheaper than meat meals. Not always, because it depends on what you're putting in your vegetarian meal. But if you do, one of my family's favorite meals is a black bean burger. The first time I made it, I did not tell anyone that there was no meat. They enjoyed every second of it. And then one of them realized, hang on a second, something's wrong. And that's when I told them. Now, the person who recognized the problem is my biggest meat eater. And he often asks for those burgers. Or he'll say, you haven't made those in a long time. How about some burgers? So there are some beautiful recipes out there that even meat eaters are going to enjoy that have no meat in them. A lentil bobotie is beautiful, rich, and it's not too heavy. It's amazing. So those are amazing things that can also stretch your budget. So putting some beans, canned beans into your mince can take a 300-gram mince and turn it into a 500-gram mince. Bulking up, another thing to add would be oat bran. It's bulking up your recipes and bulking up your meals. Now, when you're looking at the meat meal in terms of costs, you can see there's the meat on the one plate, and on the other plate is this giant salad. One looks more filling than the other, and they work just as well. Because depending on what you put on your salad would give you your protein. So chickpeas and legumes and things like that into the salad is going to give you your protein that you need from a meal, a vegetable protein rather than an animal protein. Step number 9. This is easy to say, but hard to do. Grow your own. Very easy to say. I see it all over the place. Brilliant advice. If you're living in an apartment, slightly more difficult unless you have a proper balcony. And then there's a lot of YouTube videos on how to grow vertical gardens. Brilliant ideas where they hang these, take empty soda bottles, cut them open, fill them with sand, plant their little herbs in, and hang them down. And they poke holes in the bottom. And what happens is you water the top one and the water drips down. But you've got to do some research because the nutrients have to feed each other down the chain. So the one that has the highest nutrients would be on the top. Another way is, thankfully, my son doing it, is companion gardening, where he has planted fruit and vegetables, well, mostly vegetables, along with flowers that are going to bring out the nutrients from the soil and feed the vegetable, but also are going to attract bees for pollination, and then also detract, or not detract, keep away things like flies and aphids and other insects that are going to eat your plants. So the picture of the beetroot there, those are yellow beetroots. Those came straight out of my garden and they were amazing. One of the things you need to understand about growing your own fruit, it's not going to be perfect looking. It's not going to be like the ones you find in the shop, the perfectly round tomato, because technically these are organic. So nothing's been done to them. They haven't had pesticides put on unless you are using them because you have an infestation. But that's where the companion growing comes along, is it's a natural pesticide. Then, look, I can't do this. I have a black thumb, so I will kill these plants, and they are now growing in my garden through my son. And that's things like rosemary, oregano, mint, thyme, basil, lavender even, grow beautifully in windowsill pots and are great. You just pull them off the plant, give them a good rinse, a good wash, and into your vegetables. And they have so much more flavor than when they've been sitting in the fridge at the store for weeks, or not weeks, for days. Step number 10. We've discussed this already. It's to avoid buying juice or cold drinks or snacks and biscuits and keeping them in the house. So I'm guilty of that. In fact, today I just did it. There's a store called Best Before. I think it's only in Joburg, I'm not sure. And it's stuff that is just about to expire or has just expired. There is a law that says they're allowed to sell them because they actually say that it's expired and it's not fresh. But I was able to buy cold drinks at ridiculous prices because they extended their Black Friday special to the end of the month. So I was able to get amazing quality things, and I bought cold drinks. The aim was to buy the cold drinks for the special meal at the end of the week for Shabbos, but I've already had one, so that defeated the purpose, and that's an important thing. Now, if you're trying to get healthy, you're trying to eat more healthy, keeping those foods in the house is not going to be helpful. Buying biscuits, the biscuits that you buy from the store always contain way more sugar and way more fat than you would normally have if you made the biscuits at home yourself. So be creative. And here's another thing. If you've got a friend who makes the most incredible biscuits, trade. If you're good at meals, trade with her or offer to buy the ingredients for the bread or the biscuits or whatever they're going to make if they'll make it for you. That'll be a great way. I think we're about to get a rainstorm. I have a dog visitor here who doesn't look very happy. And make adjustments. I don't use the whole wheat flour. I still use normal flour. I also haven't gotten rid of my sugar, but what I have done is I've cut down on the amount of sugar I put into stuff. Fruit juice, you need to be careful with fruit juice as well. First of all, they're expensive, and convincing children to dilute them is another story. So just remember that. Tap water, cheapest one there is, and in South Africa, our tap water is pretty good to drink, so there's no worries from that. I did see a post yesterday of somebody who said they didn't like water and they wanted those water flavoring drops. Those water flavoring drops are very good and very expensive. I don't like them because all I can taste is the sweetener, and I don't like sweetener. But some of my family members really, really did like it. Now, here's some of your shopping. So it's quite old, in case you haven't noticed. There are some really out-of-date prices in there. Now, those ones are your loyalty cards. Loyalty cards and credit cards. The first problem with the credit card is unless you pay the full amount at the end of each month, you are being charged 17%. So if you spend 10,000 Rand on groceries, it's actually costing you an extra 170 Rand. It's a lot of money extra, especially when you add it up. It adds up quickly. So unless you can pay the full amount at the end of the month, please don't use credit cards. I know you earn points on credit cards, the loyalty rewards and all those kind of things, but need to check, is your loyalty reward program good enough to sort of justify using a credit card? I've heard somebody say that credit cards are self-fulfilling prophecies, and all they do is get you into more debt. Loyalty cards, on the other hand, are great to use, and almost all the loyalty cards that are linked to shopping apps, you can earn your loyalty points while shopping on the app. So you don't even have to go into the store. The next picture is what we call the envelope budgeting. Envelope budgeting goes way back, and it's in the days where we used to use cash a lot. You can see my old groceries. I had 1,720 was for a whole month. Okay. Nowadays, that doesn't even do the week. But what you did was you take out the cash that you know you're going to need for the month for your groceries. Now, it's a problem. If you've got 6 people, it's a lot of cash to have on hand. So it's not always a great idea. So what I did was I changed it up and I opened a Time Bank account. Now, Time Bank is not the greatest. There are no stores, brick and mortar buildings. It's part of Pick and Pay. But here's the catch. Every month, I put my grocery money straight in, transfer immediately. It kind of looks like a salary, and you earn more interest on it that way. But you don't only have to use it at Pick and Pay. You link it up to your Pick and Pay shopper card, and you can just swipe it as a smart shopper card. You don't even have to use it. But what happens is you earn extra points when you are shopping at Pick and Pay, and you pay with your Time Bank card. Plus at the petrol station, I think it's the BP, you'll earn your extra points there. When you are shopping at Checkers or Spar or Woolworths, you can still use the card and still earn smart shopper points. Nice idea. Now, the discussion has come up, where's the cheapest place to shop? In the past, it was Woolworths, Spar, Pick and Pay, Checkers, ShopRite. It has recently changed to Spar, Pick and Pay, Woolworths, Checkers, and ShopRite. So just have a look carefully. When Pick and Pay have their specials, I've found that sometimes their 100 Rand deals, you can buy that on a normal price at one of the other stores. Woolworths have some really good specials. When they do their pasta, That is, I think it's 3 for 60 rand. It's 20 rand a thing of pasta. It's cheap. When they do their tuna, it's also ridiculously cheap and actually works out cheaper than buying from Pick and Pay. So know your prices, know where you're shopping. Best Before as well have a lot of products. I think today I bought, what did I buy? Tomato sauce, 2 for 15 rand, for 30 rand. So they were 15 rand each. And it's one I would never have bought. It was my favorite, it's still my favorite tomato sauce, but it's in the squeeze bottle, which is always more expensive. But here it was actually cheaper. So it does work out. Buy in bulk and freeze. Now, not all butcheries do it, but there was a thing, I'm not sure if it's still done. A lot of private butcheries, not in the big main stores, would have these specials on forequarters or on whole animals, and you could have it cut up as you wanted it. Now, it only works out a good idea if you're going to use all those cuts. If not, don't bother. But you will often find bulk chuck meat or bulk mince or things on special. Buy those. Buy the ones you know you're going to use. Build your meal plan around it. Please let me know if you've got any questions so far, and I'll read them as I get them. Now, this is my thing, meal planning. Meal planning for me is huge. I meal plan and always have for years. I love meal planning. To me, it is a lifesaver. It is a life changer. The last few months, I haven't been meal planning, and I've noticed it. My other business, thank goodness, was doing well, and I just didn't have time to meal plan. I wasn't home a lot, but I had food in the freezer for quite a few of the times that I was out, and that was an amazing idea. And people could just take it out the freezer. To meal plan, use themes. Themes are great. So we did at one stage, we did around the world. So each week was a theme, was meals from different countries. Or you can do, I do, my meal plan theme is Monday is vegan, Tuesday is mince, Wednesday is vegetarian, so fish or cheese. Thursday and Friday I alternate between red meat and chicken. When you're meal planning, check your ingredients in the fridge, check your ingredients in your cupboard, check your ingredients in the freezer. Make sure you know what activities are happening each day of the week so you don't plan elaborate meals on days where you won't have time to cook. And then remember the special days, your holidays. And now it's public holidays in this heat. Nobody wants to cook. And then load shedding. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. I think we almost got load shed a second time. So please remember those kind of things. Plan around your load shedding. Now, I know that's a bit difficult, but make sure that you have something that you can have to change around. Monday night, I was supposed to do a soup. It was 34 degrees. There was no way we were having soup. So I did a version of a BLT. I had meat in the freezer, cold cuts in the freezer. I had lettuce, I had mayonnaise, I had garlic. I just ran out and bought some rolls. That was the only thing I needed. And we had a delicious, filling supper that I didn't have to cook. So be prepared to change. Your meal plan is not set in stone. My ideas come from everywhere. Cookbooks, as you can see in the picture there, that's only a small percentage of the cookbooks I have. I think I have over 100 cookbooks. Use the specials sheets that you get in the newspaper. Look at those ingredients, what's on sale, what's on special, buy those. And then on the internet, there are a lot of recipe websites that you can find amazing recipes. I have found an app. It does take a bit of adjustment. It's a British app, but it is mostly for two people. And remember, I said earlier, using the ingredients across multiple recipes, well, they actually have what they call recipe packs, where they've got 3 recipes using similar ingredients. So you buy the same ingredients for the whole lot. And it just works brilliantly. You just carry it over. I've had to do obviously adjustments because it's only for two people and we're a lot more than two people. And I'd say so far 99% of the recipes I've tried have been brilliant. And it's the recipe app is called Sidekick. It is really, really amazing. It's by Sorted Foods. Things not to do when you're shopping. Don't go when you're tired. You are exhausted, you're irritable, you just don't pay attention, and you take whatever you want and you put it in your trolley because it sounds good, it looks good, and then you get home, don't use it. The same thing with when you're in a rush, you're also not watching prices, you just grab stuff, stick it in a trolley. When you're hungry, everything looks good. You look at something and go, oh, I could make that, and then take it home and then just go, I don't feel like that. Don't take children if you can avoid it. If you can't, there are two things that you need to make sure. One is that they are not hungry when you leave and that you have a snack in your bag. Very important. And number two is that they've had a nap before you leave. Nothing worse than a grumpy child on shopping. I used to absolutely hate it. And that, thank you everybody for joining me, is the end of tonight. If you would like help more constructively with ways to keep your grocery bill in check, please message me and I will send you the link to book. And it's a free 20-minute session that we can discuss what your next step is, or you can go straight on and book a 4-week program with me. I have two options. I have a 4-week one-on-one, or I have a 4-week where you can get 3 other friends to join you. So 4 people in the group, and we work through how to meal plan, how to cut down your groceries. Once again, thank you very much, everybody, for joining me tonight, and keep your grocery budget on track.